Hello and welcome. My name is Arnie, and in the next 10 minutes, we're going to go over the Executive Biomarker Optimization Guide, the 7 metabolic metrics that really matter. So, first of all, before you join Fit Executive Co, I want you to understand exactly what data we'll be measuring and why. Because most executives step into a health program, focus on only one number, the scale, right? That's a huge mistake because the scale doesn't tell you if you're building muscle, if you're burning fat, if you're optimizing your metabolism or reducing your risk of heart disease and diabetes. It's just telling your relationship with gravity. Okay, that's what you need to understand. So at Fit Executive Co, we do things differently. We track what actually matters, the 7 metabolic metrics and the biomarkers. So those are the biomarkers that determine whether you're truly healthy, high performing, built for longevity, right? So obviously we want you to look like a savage and feel 10 years younger, but it's not only about looking younger and feeling younger. It's also about data. Okay, and in this video here we're going to cover the data that is really important. So these are the same metrics that your doctor should be watching but most doctors don't. Okay, so let's break them down. Here are the 7 metabolic metrics that matter. The waist to height ratio, the blood glucose, so especially the long-term average blood glucose, which is called the HbA1c, triglycerides, blood pressure, then you gotta have an advanced cholesterol panel, which has to include what's called the ApoB. And the next important marker is the testosterone to cortisol ratio, also called T to C ratio, and then the heart rate variability, also called HRV. Okay, so let's go over these one by one. First of all, waist to height ratio. What is it? The measurement around your waist at the belly button in relationship to your height. Okay, so this matters because the waist to height ratio is the single best predictor of visceral fat. Visceral fat is a dangerous fat. It's highly inflammatory, causes insulin resistance, and also cardiovascular disease. So things that you do not want. How to calculate it? It's very easy. All you have to do is take out a measuring tape. And what's important is you want to use the same unit. So either centimeters or inches, both work fine. So, but for example, if you're 6 foot tall, you still want to divide the 6 feet in inches. Okay. And then you take the measurement and you divide your waist measurement by your height measurement. Okay, so for example, I'm 186 centimeters tall and my belly circumference is 82 centimeters. So that means I divide 82 by 186 and that gives me a waist to height ratio of 0.44, which is pretty good. Okay, exactly what we want to have. So the science behind it is a value of 0.54 or above is considered a good predictor of metabolic syndrome in adults. Okay, a value of 0.52 has been shown to already double the risk for metabolic syndrome in some populations. And the general recommendation is to maintain a waist circumference, hard word for my German tongue, less than half your height. So meaning a waist to height ratio below 0.5. Okay, so optimal is below 0.5. Elevated risk is already 0.5 to 0.54. And a high risk is everything above 0.54 or higher. Okay. So what we do is we track your waist to height ratio weekly. And then when this number drops, you know you're losing the right kind of fat, the kind of fat that's silently killing you. Okay, here's a study. So, by the way, here's a study that you can learn more about the waist to height ratio. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds. Let's keep this practical. So, you see this client here. His name is Doug. He's a business owner. He leads a huge company. They're growing very quickly. Typical client, doesn't have much time, has kids, has a wife to take care of, on top of the priorities in his business. But the thing is, you see him on the streets and you wouldn't say like, oh, this guy needs to lose weight, right? He looks kind of average. He looks normal. He doesn't have he doesn't look sick at all. And yeah, he is an athlete. Still, his waist to height ratio, you see this number here, has been 0.54. So elevated risk. No, high risk. 0.54 or higher means a high risk for metabolic syndrome. So diabetes, cancers, like not all cancers are related to belly fat, but many of them are. Autoimmune diseases like Alzheimer's, stuff that you don't want in your life, right? So his waist to height ratio then went down and down and down. You see this also in his progress pictures. And like 14 weeks in, he dropped around 17 pounds. He also built a significant amount of muscle mass. We were able to see this by the strength measurements that went up. He was able to lift more weight and he got a lot stronger in the meantime. You can also see this here at the chest measurement. His chest actually increased in size, right? So he got a nice V shape now. He looks pretty cut down here. Still has a little bit of belly fat to lose to really look shredded, but we're in the process of this. But the bottom line is he dropped his waist to height ratio to below 0.5. And this is how it actually looks like when you are freaking healthy, okay? So you look pretty good, right? Compared to before, at least it's a huge difference. And then he dropped around, yeah, 10 centimeters, no, 9 centimeters around the belly button here. And his arms got stronger, arms got bigger. So yeah, this is how a typical client result looks like, right? So this is how we keep track of things. Now let's look at the second metric, the blood glucose. So first of all, what is it? It's a measure of your average blood sugar levels over the past 3 months. So why it matters is high blood sugar means insulin resistance, means metabolic dysfunction. Okay, so if your HbA1c is creeping up, your body is struggling to manage energy. That means brain fog and energy crashes, stubborn belly fat that won't budge, increased risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease and dementia, the metabolic syndrome I was talking about earlier. Most executives are already pre-diabetic and don't even know it because their doctor says, hey, you're fine for your age or you're normal, okay? Normal does not mean optimized, by far not, okay? Normal in the language of your doctor simply means you're not sick yet, okay? You don't have diabetes yet. This is when most doctors take action. Okay, now we have this medication and this medication and this treatment, right? This is when they make money. Otherwise, they don't make money from preventing diseases, okay? This is our job here at Fit Executive Co. So the target needs to be that you are under 5.5, ideally even under 5.0. So that means you have a very good insulin sensitivity. Your body is well able to handle blood sugar. Pre-diabetic means anything between 5.6 and 6.4, which is what we often see even in individuals, in clients who look healthy on the outside when we run their blood work. And then diabetic means anything above 6.5. So what we do is we optimize your nutrition, implement fasting protocols if they match your lifestyle, and training as well to build muscle, give your blood glucose a place to live. If you build muscle, it doesn't only look good. Muscle is also the organ of longevity, and it's just overall very healthy. You will have a lot more energy. But the bottom line is we want to bring your blood sugar back into peak performance range so that your brain stays sharp and that your energy stays consistent all day. Okay, this is critical, especially if you have to make high level decisions all day long as an executive when you're running a company, you're running a team. This is critical for you. Then metric number 3, triglycerides. So what this is a type of fat found in your blood measured through a standard lipid panel. So this is what your doctor will already measure in a standard panel. High triglycerides means your body is storing fat instead of burning it. Okay, so you're in a calorie surplus. This is a direct sign of metabolic inefficiency. Your body can't handle carbs or calories properly anymore. Okay, so high triglycerides also increase your risk of heart attack, stroke, fatty liver disease, and most doctors won't flag this until it's dangerously high. So we optimize it before it becomes a problem. The target ranges are here: optimal, borderline, and high. And what we do is through strategic fasting, again, if it fits your lifestyle, but we will redesign your or optimize your nutrition in a way that suits your lifestyle and gets you better results. It makes you look like a freaking savage here. Protein pacing is important, metabolic training, and we teach your body to burn fat efficiently again, which drives triglycerides down and fast. Okay, then we have blood pressure. Many people are dealing with high blood pressure. What this is the force of blood pushing against your artery walls, measured as systolic and systolic. So for example, 120 to 80. This is a pretty good range here. So why this matters is high blood pressure is called the silent killer for a reason. It damages your heart, brain, kidneys, blood vessels, often without symptoms until it's too late. Okay, and this is when we have issues. Let's put it this way. Executives are especially at risk because of the chronic stress, right? So we have these cortisol spikes throughout the day. Client emails, employee gets sick, someone dropped the ball, from inside of your team. Then on top of that, wife calls, oh the kids are sick. Can you take them to or pick them up from school? Stuff like that, right? So chronic stressors, poor sleep, oftentimes. I know this myself. I've been dealing this, for years as a business owner myself. I constantly have ideas when I wake up at night, but I found strategies that I can implement to help me fall back asleep, like pretty much instantly. But this is another thing that we optimize with our clients, especially the deep sleep phase and the REM sleep phase are critical. We use a health tracker like an Aura Ring here, for example. There are other ones out there I don't recommend, an Apple Watch or a Garmin necessarily, as they are not as precise as an Aura Ring. Or what I like to recommend as well is the Ringcon. But then high sodium intake, you often have business dinners, you travel a lot, so welcome to the club here. High sodium intake can also contribute to high blood pressure. And then also excess body fat. Okay, so the target ranges are here: 120 to 80 or lower is optimized, and anything above 130 or to 80 is high blood pressure. Okay, so what we do is we address the root cause: stress management techniques, sleep optimization, strategic nutrition, custom exercise protocols, and then fat loss. Okay, so most clients see their blood pressure normalize within the first 60 to 90 days of working with us, and oftentimes getting off medication entirely, obviously with their doctor's approval, right? So then we have the advanced cholesterol panel here: total to HDL ratio plus ApoB, and ApoB is a fun one. We're going to talk about this now. So what this is: a comprehensive look at your cardiovascular risk through two key measurements. Okay, so first of all, your total cholesterol to HDL ratio. That means your total cholesterol divided by your HDL, the good cholesterol. It's we also call it the cholesterol scavenger, as it transports excess cholesterol back to the liver for recycling. And then the ApoB, apolipoprotein B, the number of atherogenic, so plaque forming particles in your blood. Why this matters? Most doctors only look at total cholesterol and then the LDL cholesterol, but these tell an incomplete story. Here's what they're missing. So the cholesterol ratio is what's important. A high ratio means you have too much bad cholesterol relative to your good cholesterol, which increases plaque buildup in your arteries. The HDL doesn't transport the excess cholesterol back to the liver for recycling. By the way, cholesterol is not bad it of itself. It has many important functions inside your body, and too low levels would also not be beneficial. Again, the goal is to be for them to be in an optimized range. Optimized is the key here for optimized performance. Okay, normal is not good enough. So this ratio is a better predictor of heart disease risk than total cholesterol alone. Now, ApoB, this is the game changer, and this is the metric that changes everything, because ApoB measures the actual number of atherogenic particles in your blood. Okay, it's a real-time indicator. The particles that cause plaque buildup and heart disease are being measured in real time. It shows us exactly how clogged are your arteries already. Okay, so you can have normal LDL but dangerously high ApoB. That means the small dense particles inside your arteries. You can also have high LDL but safe ApoB. That means then it's just large fluffy particles. And ApoB tells you the true cardiovascular risk that you're in, and not just a rough estimate. Okay, so the science behind it is that ApoB is a superior predictor of heart attack and stroke risk compared to LDL cholesterol alone. Okay, it's a gold standard used by my colleague and mentor. Hi, Peter. You're awesome. He wrote a book called Outlive. You might have heard of it, The Science and Art of Longevity. So he was the first one who pointed me in this direction. Great guy. Please read the book. At the end of the day, it also all comes down to the customization, and some of the strategies he puts in there needs a lot of customization. Let's put it this way, for it to work for you long term. Okay, so but that's for another day. Overall, a great book. So most practitioners don't test for it. That's one thing you gotta understand. So please ask your doctor about it if you don't have it already, or work with us and we will automatically test for ApoB. Yeah, and also many don't just don't know how to interpret it. So the targets here for the total to HDL cholesterol ratio needs to be under 3.5. That's optimal. Average is 4 to 5. Again, that's not good enough. And then a higher risk means everything above 5. Okay, so you can look at your cholesterol numbers and calculate this. But then if you have your ApoB, please take a look at that too. And this will give you a better predictor of your overall heart health risk. Okay, so what we do is we implement strategic fat intake, so optimize your omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, monounsaturated fats, resistance training, metabolic optimization, targeted supplementation when needed. We only do use supplements when we identify gaps in your blood work that we need to address. We improve both your cholesterol ratio and your ApoB levels naturally. So we don't just optimize cholesterol, we reduce actual cardiovascular risk. Okay, this matters for executives because heart disease is the #1 killer of high-performing men over 40. Most don't see it coming because their cholesterol looks fine. Okay, by tracking ApoB, we catch the real risk early and reverse it before it becomes a crisis. Okay, then testosterone to cortisol ratio. This is a fun one. Okay, so the T2C ratio. What this is the ratio between your total cholesterol, the primary anabolic hormone, and cortisol, the primary catabolic stress hormone. So anabolic means building, catabolic means tearing things down. Okay, why this matters is the ratio is one of the most powerful indicators of your body's ability to build muscle, burn fat, recover from stress, and perform at peak levels. Okay, so we obviously want to optimize here at Fit Executive Co. High cortisol plus low testosterone means the executive death spiral. Chronic fatigue and brain fog, stubborn belly fat, especially around the midsection, loss of muscle mass and strength, low libido and sexual dysfunction, poor sleep quality, increased anxiety and irritability, weakened immune system. So if you have any of these symptoms, you're not alone. all that means is your testosterone to cortisol ratio is most likely out of whack. Okay. The science behind it is testosterone. You might have heard of this hormone. It's a primary building hormone. It builds muscle, burns fat, enhances cognitive function, drives motivation and confidence. And then cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone. Also has lots of good functions. Okay. Lots of good functions. You want it to be high in the morning to get out of bed and have a high energy levels and good focus. But then a chronic elevation from executive stress, poor sleep, overtraining, inflammatory diets is what creates a catabolic state where your body breaks down muscle and stores fat. Basically, you can put it like this. Your system or our system, we share the same system here. Good news. Our biology looks pretty similar. But the bottom line is this system here, our stress system, it made a lot of sense. It's optimized for acute stressors, right? So for our ancestors, when they saw a saber-toothed tiger, they better be like, hey, fight or flight, right? Let's get behind the next tree or climb up the next tree. It's but then automatically all the long-term processes like building new muscle mass, burning body fat, also making babies, right? Making love to your partner, digestion, also long-term planning, creative thinking, stuff like that, get put on the back burner. It wouldn't be beneficial if you started to get creative or horny or, oh, I need to go to the bathroom right now. Saber-toothed tiger, please wait, right? Doesn't make any sense. So it's optimized for acute stress, not for the chronic elevation. Okay, so this is one thing that you need to understand. Inflammatory diets create a catabolic state where your body breaks down muscle and stores fat. Among others. Okay, so when cortisol stays elevated and testosterone drops, you enter what we call a metabolic prison, where no amount of dieting or exercise seems to work. You're getting a low ROI for the efforts that you put into your nutrition and the training. Okay, what drives this ratio down in executives? First of all, chronic work stress, decision fatigue, poor sleep, 6 to 7 hours, or anything below 6 hours is not good. But then not only or it's not only the quantity that's important, it's also important to look at how much deep sleep and REM sleep you're getting in. So the quality of your sleep is as important as your total sleep. Overtraining or under recovery, especially too much cardio training, can spike your cortisol if you're not recovering well from it. Low fat, low protein diets. So if you're aiming for low fat diets, then nope. Certain fatty acids are necessary to build testosterone, and if you increase your testosterone, then you will improve your testosterone to cortisol ratio. Low protein diets is also a stressor. Protein is a building material for any cells inside your body. So whether that's muscle cells, brain cells, immune cells, nerve cells, your bones, tendons, ligaments, everything will become weaker if you don't eat enough protein. Okay, this highly depends on your on many factors. I'm not getting too deep into the weeds here with how much protein you can consume, but most people are under eating protein. That's a fact. Excess alcohol consumption, lack of strength training, inflammation from too many ultra processed foods. Okay, and I'm not saying that you cannot eat ultra processed foods at all. It's just about the right dose. Okay, it's about finding the right balance. There are no off-limit foods, okay? If you restrict yourself too much, then it's also not going to be a sustainable solution. So forget about that. But it's about optimizing your nutrition. So we optimize your inflammation markers, okay? So the target here needs to be a 10-to-1 ratio. So testosterone needs to be 10 times higher than your cortisol levels. Suboptimal would be 5-to-1 to 10-to-1. That's already declining performance. And anything under 5-to-1 is a body in chronic breakdown mode. Sorry to break the news here. So we want this is an example here. Go over the numbers, check your own numbers if you have your biomarkers, if you have your testosterone levels and your cortisol levels, then you can look at that. Most health clinics, by the way, they do testosterone and free testosterone, which is great, but they don't measure the cortisol for whatever reasons. Oftentimes, clients were working with those executive health clinics before they came to us, and then we were like, hey, great, show us your numbers, and there's no cortisol on there. So how can you calculate the cortisol or testosterone to cortisol ratio, right? Um, we optimize your T to C ratio through strategic strength training, builds testosterone, doesn't spike the cortisol. Cardio training. I'm not saying cardio training is bad. It has many, many benefits, but you have to be strategic about it and then also, be strategic about your recovery from the cardio training. Strength training doesn't spike cortisol. No, or a very acute spike, but then it's also an acute drop afterwards. Sleep optimization protocols. So again, getting in 60 to 90 minutes of deep sleep is critical for your performance and health. Stress management systems, nervous system regulation, protein prioritized nutrition, so it supports muscle retention and hormone production, also muscle growth, not only retention. We're not here to retain the muscles, we're here to grow your muscle. Then we have strategic fasting, where it applies, can improve your insulin sensitivity at least short term and spike your growth hormones at least short term. Overall, fasting is one of those, I'm not saying fads, there are some benefits to it. It can make your life a lot easier, but the what matters most is not when you're eating and when you're not eating, but how much and what you're eating. Okay, so when we talk about priorities, how much and what you're eating is more important than when you're eating. Okay, so we use fasting where it makes sense strategically, if it fits your lifestyle, if it's an option, but it's not. It's not mandatory to get fantastic results. Then also recovery protocols. Again, we want to prevent overtraining and we want to prevent those cortisol spikes. And then also when we restore your T to C ratio, everything changes. Your energy returns, fat melts off, especially the belly fat. Muscle builds faster, mental clarity improves, libido and confidence return. So your wife will be chasing you around the bedroom. And also you will have a better performance and a better appearance and more status among your peers, whether that's at the golf course or in the boardroom, okay? And you will feel like yourself again, more likely like your 25-year-old self. So again, it's a metric most doctors just ignore, and also a very important metric that changes everything. Then, last but not least, the heart rate variability, HRV. So what this is a variation in time between consecutive heartbeats, okay, measured in milliseconds. It reflects your autonomic nervous system's balance between sympathetic, that's a fight or flight activation, and parasympathetic, the rest, digest, and repair state. Okay, so why it matters is HRV is your body's real-time stress gauge and recovery indicator. Okay, a high HRV means your nervous system is flexible, resilient, recovering well. You're ready to rock. You're ready to rule the day. Okay, ready to perform. Low HRV means your body is stuck in chronic stress mode, even if you don't feel stressed. It indicates poor recovery from training or work stress, overtraining and undersleeping, elevated cortisol and inflammation, increased risk for burnout, injury and illness, reduced cognitive performance and decision-making ability. If you're an executive, then your decision-making ability is critical, right? You have these like how many decisions are you making on a day-to-day basis, right? And how many of them yeah affecting a lot of other people's life, your client's life, your employee's life, right? You got to pay salaries, your family's life. So think about it. If you improve your decision making ability, you will automatically make more money and lead a happier life, right? Good. Well, that's exactly what we want. So, for executive, HRV is the canary coal or canary in the coal mine. It tells you when you're pushing too hard before your body breaks down. Okay, the science behind it is your heart doesn't beat like a metronome. When you're healthy and recovered, there's a natural variation between the beats. Okay, controlled by your vagus nerve. So that's a rest and digest nerve. Also reports between your brain and your gut. It runs through your spine here. how, yeah, reports to the brain, how's the gut doing, and then also reports back to the gut, hey, how's the brain doing? So gut health is, by the way, another thing that we optimize with our clients. But then, where are we? So when we are chronically stressed, overtrained, or underslept, or inflamed, your heart rate becomes more rigid and mechanical. The variation drops. Okay. Research shows that low HRV is associated with increased cardiovascular disease risk, higher all-cause mortality, reduced athletic and cognitive performance, and greater susceptibility to burnout. Okay, elite athletes and high performers already track HRV. Also, the Navy SEALs do it daily to optimize training intensity, recovery, and performance. And what drives your HRV is chronic work stress and decision fatigue, poor sleep quality and insufficient sleep, overtraining without adequate recovery, alcohol consumption. I'm also not saying that you have to cut out alcohol, but it's about finding the right dose. If you don't know this about me, I used to be 50 pounds overweight myself, working in the German craft beer industry as a brand ambassador and international head of marketing and sales. And yeah, that was one of my challenges, living a fit and healthy lifestyle and having all these client dinners and traveling, and it was a great job, but it didn't make it easier, let's put it this way. Then inflammatory diet was a good school though, for what to do and how to balance things out and how to integrate alcohol with a healthy lifestyle. But the bottom line is, the next point here is inflammatory diet, processed foods or ultra processed foods, and also excess sugar. Not saying that sugar is inherently bad, but we want to have the right amounts, okay? And also the timing of sugar can make a difference how well your body handles it. Dehydration, illness or infection, even subclinical, travel and jet lag. So the target needs to be HRV, is highly individual, varies by age, fitness level and genetics. What matters most is your personal baseline and then the trend, okay? Don't get caught up in the numbers. Generally speaking, optimal would be 60 ms or more. That indicates a strong recovery and resilience. Good one for most people is 40 to 60. Suboptimal is 20 to 40. And then if you're under 20, that means significant stress levels, overtraining and illness. Again, we use an Aura ring to track this daily, also with our clients, and then look at the weekly trends and patterns that we identify, and then put in protocols into place that optimize the HRV recovery and stuff like that. Okay, so again, what matters more than the absolute number is the trend. Is your HRV improving or declining over the weeks and months? Is it consistent? And how does it respond to training? So does your HRV drop after hard workouts and recover within the next 24 to 48 hours? Then everything's good. Okay, so what we do is we track HRV daily, again using the Aura ring, and then personalized training intensity, optimize sleep and recovery, identify hidden stressors that you might not be even aware of, and find solutions for that, and then also build resilience. Okay, when we optimize your HRV, you experience a faster recovery between workouts and work days, better sleep quality and morning energy, improved stress resilience and emotional regulation, enhanced focus, decision making, and cognitive performance. Again, highly important to when you like making money, right? Then reduce risk of burnout, injury, and illness. Okay, so basically when you optimize your HRV, you become a better version of yourself, is what I'm saying. So why this matter for executives: you cannot outperform chronic stress, and you can't feel your way to optimal recovery. HRV gives you objective data on whether your body is ready to perform or whether it needs to recover. And it's a difference between pushing through and breaking down. Most executives ignore this until they hit a wall. We track it daily, so you never hit that wall. Okay. Next point, why these metrics matter. It's not just about living longer. So here you see a graph that I like. These are the 4 areas that we use to improve that graph. But it's not only about increasing your lifespan. Modern medicine is going to take care of that. We're all going to become 100 years old these days. I bet you. I bet you. Like, uh, we want to square this graph here. We want to increase your health span, because not too many executives think about this time in their life when they made a lot of money and then they're like, hey, shoot, now it's time to enjoy this lifestyle that I've created and have time for myself, travel, play with my grandkids. And then they get to that point and then they have regrets. Okay. So most people focus exclusively on their lifespan, like how many years they live. Here's the truth that most doctors won't tell you. Living longer means nothing if you're sick, tired, and dependent for the last 20 years of your life. You don't want to become a liability to your loved ones. You don't want to be the 80-year-old who is in a senior's residence and just drooling on the couch watching TV. You want to be active. You want to stay relevant for your business, obviously, for your loved ones. You want to stay on top of things, right? Be mentally sharp and physically independent. So this gap between lifespan, the total years alive, and your health span, years lived with vitality, independence, performance, this is where most executives lose. Okay, they survive into their 70s and 80s, but they are on 6 medications, can play with their grandkids, spend their final decade in decline, maybe even 2 decades, okay? And that's not longevity, that's just prolonged suffering. So over here at Fit Executive Co, our goal isn't just to help you live longer, it's to help you perform at the highest level for as long as possible and then compress the decline into the shortest window at the very, very end. Okay, so having a pain-free life with full mobility, full mental sharpness. And yeah, this is what we call squaring the curve. Instead of a slow, decades-long decline starting at 50, you stay sharp, strong, and energized well into your 70s, 80s, 90s. Okay, and then experience a rapid, brief decline only at the very end. At some point, we all got to go. That's just a fact. We got to make space for the next generation to take over with full force. And hopefully we leave a legacy. Okay. And this is what the 7 metrics, the 7 metabolic metrics that we optimize unlock. When you optimize your waist to height ratio, your blood glucose, triglycerides, blood pressure, cholesterol, testosterone to cortisol ratio, and your HRV, you're not just getting healthier. Okay, you're extending your health span. The years where you're still the CEO, still in control, still the athlete, still the man your family depends on. Okay, so you're buying decades of high performance and not just survival. Okay, not just getting by. That's the difference between living long and living legendary. So, why these 7 metrics change everything. Here's the truth. You can lose 20 pounds and still be metabolically unhealthy. Okay. You can look fit in the mirror and still be at high risk for heart attack. You can feel fine, but be running on fumes, one stressful quarter away from burnout. And that's why we don't chase vanity metrics. Obviously, again, we want you to look and feel like a savage, 10 years younger, 20 years younger, maybe even. But we chase performance, longevity. So when these 7 metrics are optimized, you will have more energy, mental clarity, sleep better, recover faster, build muscle and burn fat efficiently, reduce your risk of chronic disease by 50 to 80%, perform at peak levels in business and in life. Feel confident that you're not just looking better, you're living longer and better. Okay. So what happens next? First of all, if you haven't booked a game plan call yet, go to fitexecutive.co/get-lean. Okay, fitexecutive.co/get-lean. I will also put this under this video here if you watch on YouTube. Now, when you have your game plan call booked already, we will review your current metrics. So if you have recent blood work or wearable data like an Oura Ring or a Whoop band or Ringcon, please bring it, okay? Even if you only have a Garmin watch or an Apple Watch, and the data from there, please also bring it. It's better than nothing. We will identify your biggest metabolic bottlenecks, and we will then map out your 90-day transformation plan to optimize all 7 metrics and more than that. Okay, we're going to go into the weeds here, and you will walk away with a custom game plan. So by the end of your call, you have absolute clarity on where you are today, where you need to be, and exactly how we get you there. Okay, that's a promise. So if you have booked your call already, congrats. You're gonna get lots of value from this. This is optional, but it's highly recommended. If you have recent blood work, needs to be like, shouldn't be older than 12 months old, but dig it out and bring it to our call. Specifically, let's look out for the HbA1c. You can also send it to us in advance, and then we have some time to prepare it. Lipid panel, cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL, LDL, ApoB is important if you have advanced testing. Most people don't, but if you have it, please bring it. Blood pressure readings, testosterone, total and free, and then also cortisol. Ideally, the morning cortisol. And if you're tracking HIV, also bring the data from there. And if you don't have it, no problem. We guide you through getting the right test done as part of your plan. So, by the way, if your doctor hasn't tested ApoB yet, do this. Whether you sign up for a game plan call or sign up for our coaching, like the custom coaching, please make sure that you optimize those 7 metrics, okay? Whether you do it by yourself, do it with us, that's up to you. Final thoughts here. Don't wait until your doctor delivers the bad news, okay? You're not like most executives. You're here because you want to perform at the very best. You want to look in the mirror and see the man that you can be. Like lean, seeing the abs, seeing wide shoulders, seeing the V shape. You're here because you want to you're ready to take control, right? Before the crisis, before the warning signs become emergencies. So you're here because looking average is not good enough for you. You want to be optimized on the inside and look your absolute best from the outside, okay? That's leadership. This is also what others see in you. Self-leadership, self-respect, self-love. When you invest in yourself and some time, some money to get good coaches, then this is what other people will see in you. Being the leader of yourself, right? How can you lead others if you cannot even lead your own body? If you look at your body in the mirror and you don't see the fittest version of yourself, then it's time to act, okay? This is exactly the kind of client we love working with. Ambitious, okay? Successful in every area of your life. And let's get this dialed in too, okay? I see you on the other side. Let's build the U 2.0. Again, if you haven't booked your game plan call yet, go to fitexecutive.co/get-lean. I see you there.